Hello, hello. Welcome back to the show. Today's episode was brought to you by one of those crazy, stupid idea times that the team and I had together. So today I'm actually sharing a value-packed live that I hosted in our private Facebook community that we run for coaches and entrepreneurs. Sometimes the trainings that I do in there are just honestly too good to not share with the rest of the world. So go ahead and give it a listen. And if you're not already part of our free Facebook community, head over to the show notes and request access. Trainings like this are happening in there all the time, not to mention there's networking, coaching, and other juicy tidbits. All right, grab your notebook and enjoy the show. So today we are chatting. I'm so excited that you're here. We are chatting about the three main reasons why people aren't buying, or the three reasons that you might not be making sales. So as I get into this, just tell me right now, honestly, if you're brave enough, has this ever been something that you have struggled with? Have you ever felt like your results are not equal to the efforts that you've put out? Like you're putting out great content, you're sending emails, you're doing all the things that you should be doing, but sales are just not coming in as easily as or effortlessly as you would like. Just if you're honest, if you're willing to be honest, let me know if that's ever happened to you. I know for me, it has 10,000% happened. I've been in digital business for 10 years, so it's definitely happened more than once. And it's super frustrating. Like, there's literally nothing worse than pouring your heart into something and then not getting the result that you want. And then if you're anything like me, a human, we love to make meaning out of it because we're meaning-making machines. It's happening right now. Yes, with certain offers. Okay, so we're meaning-making machines. And so we put something out into the world, even if it's free, and we don't get the result that we expect. Not a lot of people sign up. It's crickets. No one's liking your post. No one's commenting. And you're like, oh my God, I knew the other shoe was going to drop. There was no reason for me to even do this. Who did I think I was, right? All these limiting beliefs come up and you're like, that's it. I'm just going to quit. I'm not worthy. I'm not valuable. And we create these stories because we're meaning-making machines. Okay, so you're definitely not alone. I love this. So today what we're chatting about is three of the reasons that might be happening. And of course, if you see me peek to the side here, it's because I have my notes in front of me because, well, note takers are money makers and you are not supposed to have to be perfect all the time and memorize everything. So there you go. External permission from a multiple seven-figure business owner to say, y'all, it's okay to have notes. It's okay to have Post-its, okay? All right, so if you see me peeking over to the side, I'm either reading your Facebook comments or I'm checking my notes. Are you ready? Are you ready? One of the reasons that you might not be making sales, one of the reasons that your audience members might not be saying yes, is because you maybe have not put together a conversion event. It's a term that is used interchangeably for launch vehicle. Okay, so we've got conversion event, we've got launch vehicle. Have you heard the term launch vehicle? Yes or no? Let me know. I would love to know because this is another term that gets thrown around kind of behind the scenes, but not talked about often. And what we don't talk about or what we don't know about, what we don't see, well, then we're not actually aware of it. And if we're not aware, then how can we change it? So this first reason that your launches, your sales, your products, your offers might not be yielding the result that you want is simply because you might be missing this massive piece. So interchangeable, conversion event, launch vehicle, same. All right. Now, to glaze over what that is, it's really like a free experience where you're giving value. You're then subtracting out any objections that this person might have. You're then adding in a deadline, some urgency, not scarcity, not fear, not like manipulation, right? But you're adding in a deadline so that they have to make a decision. Because we humans love to sit on the fence. We love to procrastinate, right? We're like analysis paralysis. I mean, I'm so embarrassed to even say this, but I have had this stupid website revolve up on my computer for like a week with dresses in the checkout in my shopping bag that I haven't bought yet because I have a wedding in 2 weeks. Like, why am I procrastinating? I can return them if I don't want them. But no. It'll just be way more beneficial for me to leave the tab open on my computer. So every time I open the computer, my eye twitches because I have so many things to do, right? I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. We hate making decisions. Yeah. So this launch vehicle, this conversion event, it's a free experience where you're offering value, you're subtracting objections, you're handling or managing objections while adding in a deadline, therefore offering an invitation to work with you, or there's an offer at the end. What a launch vehicle or conversion event oftentimes is something like a webinar, a challenge, a masterclass, a podcast episode, a video series, a live event. How many times have we been to a live event where at the end, or maybe at the beginning, they sell from stage? Like, I know you've been to them because I've been to them. I've hosted them. But the funny thing is, when we are in the driver's seat, let's say you're hosting an event or even a webinar, who here has ever gotten a little like belly flipping butterflies, a little uncomfortable, feeling a little salesy, a little sleazy when it comes time to make the transition to the sale? You're like, oh shit, I feel bad. This is awkward. I don't want to do this. I don't know how to do this. Has anyone ever felt that before? You're like doing a webinar, you're hosting a live event, and when it comes time, you've just poured into these people for 3 days, right? For days on end, you're pouring into these people. You're giving value. You're just teaching with no expectation. You're coaching with no tie to the outcome. And then it comes time for us to pitch the thing. And we're like, and so, yeah, if you've loved this and you're like ready to take it to the next level, you can like work with me if you want to work with me, but like, you don't have to work with me if you don't want to work with me. Right? So this idea of a conversion event or a launch vehicle is taking someone through the process. And when I say free value, it doesn't have to be a masterclass. It doesn't have to be a free event or a live event or a paid. It could be content on your social media. It could be your YouTube channel, Pinterest. You could be doing Clubhouse talks. It could be TikTok. It could be LinkedIn. It could be a blog that you write on a blog weekly, consistently, monthly. It could be your email newsletter, your text message reminders that you're sending. So this idea that sometimes we are missing the launch vehicle or the conversion event is literally why you're not making sales or why they're not saying yes. Because they don't see the value, not in you as a human, but they don't see the value. You have not helped them handle or manage the objection in that vehicle, and you haven't given them a freaking deadline. And we don't move unless we have to move. And I know I'm not alone on that one because I know I'm not the only one with a tab open on my computer that really has nothing to do with anything, and I still haven't taken action on it, right? So you might be missing a conversion event or a launch vehicle. If you have a question, if you're uncertain, you can drop that below, but that's the first reason. So putting content out and then telling people to buy something is not enough. It's 2022. And so people are very attuned to how it works. No one is jumping on a webinar nowadays not expecting to be sold to. Is that what I meant to say? No one is jumping on a webinar now and then surprised at the end when there's an offer. You know going into it, most likely that there's going to be an offer, yet you're so interested in the thing that they're teaching, you're like, whatever, if I don't want to buy, I won't buy, right? Okay, so number one, love it. The conversion event or the launch vehicle. If you're missing it, you're missing out on the whole opportunity to really build that relationship, to build that credibility, that authority, that clout, to give someone an experience. Experience equals expectation. If someone comes in and they have a mind-blowing experience with you, are they more likely or less likely to go tell people about it? Are they more likely or less likely to go tell people about it? You almost want to under-promise and over-deliver, because that's when people leave going, holy crow, that was crazy. Free or paid, oh my gosh, that person's page has so much value. I learn something every time I come there. That free Facebook group, that email list, it's like, wow, right? Okay, so number two is that you are, in fact, doing a conversion event or a launch vehicle, and you're still not making sales, or it's like hard and heavy, and you feel like you have a ruck on, and you're like climbing up the mountain with a 45-pound backpack, or you're like pushing the boulder up the mountain. Back in my day, we used to walk to school uphill both ways in a foot of snow, right? And you're like, I did the event, I did the thing, I hosted a masterclass, I've been sending the emails, I've been doing the content, I did the and yet I get to the sale, and I'm pretty confident in the transition. I get to the pitch, I get to the offer, I get to the invitation, whatever you want to call it, and it's kind of like crickets. Okay, So you've actually done the thing, the conversion event or the launch vehicle, and then on the back end, you're like, but it still didn't really do what I anticipated. Who is willing to be honest and let me know if that's the case? Because in my experience, that's a little bit more frustrating than the first thing, right? Because you're like, I did the damn thing. Thank you for being honest. You're like, I poured myself into it. I did a 2-part series. I hosted a challenge. I did the live. I did the whatever. And it didn't really do what I wanted it to do. And so here, number 2 is what could be happening. You're not properly converting the people. You're not properly, not proper as in right or wrong, but you're not setting yourself up to set them up to say yes. So you're doing the webinar and you might not make the sale. You're hosting the challenge and then everyone's like, thanks so much. It was great. Bye. And you're like, what? Or worse, how many times has this happened? This has happened to me so many times. Someone comes to your free launch vehicle, your conversion event, and at the end, they're like, that was incredible. I got so much out of it. I learned so many things. I cannot thank you enough. I'm actually going to go leave and I'm going to implement everything you taught me. And I'm so good. You healed me. You fixed me. I have every tool in my toolbox that I would ever need. I'm going to go work on it for the next couple months. Bye. And you're like, oh my God, no, wait a minute. You were supposed to buy the thing that I offered you. Like, why aren't you joining my container? Why aren't you joining my program? You're supposed to be in the mastermind. You're supposed to come to the course. Like, what is happening? Why are you leaving now? So a lot of times what we do is we put together this incredible experience and then at the end, people don't buy. And it's happening for a couple of reasons. Number 1, you might actually be teaching too much. Now, I am the queen of saying that I believe we should be giving it all away for free. If you've heard me say it, I've said it a million times. I do truly believe that we should be giving it all away for free. I believe if you have a solution to a problem, it's your responsibility to share it. I also believe that all of the information that we're sharing, it's just not proprietary. Like literally everything is Googleable. You most likely learned it from something else, a book, a YouTube, a mentor. And so the way that you teach it is proprietary. You are the secret sauce, but your information is not. So I am a full-time believer that I give it all away for free. And I talk a lot about how people can get music for free on Pandora and Spotify and YouTube and Apple Music, but yet we pay for tickets to go to a concert. And the argument here is, why do we do that? Because it's a completely different energy. It's a different experience. You can't compare listening on your earbuds to your favorite song and then going to an actual event like a music festival and the light show and the food and the sound and the vibe, right? That's how I feel about content. So if you were to ever go through my current or my old Instagram page, I literally have given away like everything. But why do people still come to work with me? Because they want to be in the energy. They want to be in the room. They want to have the one-on-one back and forth, one-to-many coaching, right? The insight, all of it. Some people don't want to give it all away for free. Conceptually, I understand. If you are like, hey, try this piece of chicken on a stick at the mall, right, in the food court, and you taste it and you're like, oh, that's good. They're like, cool, do you want to come in and buy a plate? You might. But if they were like, hey, here's a completely free plate of dinner, try it, tell us if you like it, and you eat it, and then they're like, do you want to come in and buy a plate? You're like, no, I'm good, I'm full. So conceptually, I understand why we wouldn't give it all away for free, but I truly believe, borrow it if you like, take what you want, leave the rest, that we should be giving it away for free. So now here you are, you poured your heart out, you gave it for free, you did the launch vehicle, and no one purchased, or not a lot of people purchased. So you may have taught too much, but Jess, you just said give it all away. Yeah. But when you put someone through a launch event, a launch vehicle, a conversion event, there always should be a transformation, right? We always start with the end in mind. In everything in life, not just business. You want to lose weight? You start with the end in mind. You want to build a house? What is it going to look like? Start with like the blueprint, right? You have to reverse engineer. So when you're putting someone through a conversion event or a launch vehicle, what is the transformation for the person? Yeah, even in a free event, you want them to have a transformation. It could be a transformation of mind, of belief. It could be a physical transformation of something that they're doing. You're a dietitian. You want them to go clean out their pantry and remove foods that all have canola oil. Like there's a physical transformation. There's a tangible win that they're going to get or have. And so when you start with the end in mind, there is a level of you may have taught them too much. Now, I am not in the camp. I do not believe that you should give them a little bit and make them come back to buy more. I don't like that. I feel like that's very manipulative. So how do you balance it? Well, I don't believe in balance. It's a dance. There's a rhythm here. So it's give them, teach them concepts, theories, tactical, action, mindset, beliefs, and it's all of it. And it takes a while to get good at this. It's a practice. And so your conversion event, you may have just made them drink water from a fire hose and shoved that information down their throat. And they might be leaving actually overwhelmed, more overwhelmed than they came. They might be leaving thinking that they don't need anything else anymore. And they might be leaving going, well, she or he just gave me the whole damn plan, so I'm going to go work on it. I now don't have time, capacity, or energy to invest in myself to work with this person because they gave me everything I need. And so there's a practice, this dance, this rhythm that you want to get into of how much you're actually teaching versus how much you're shifting their mindset. Who here would love to be known as a thought leader? Now, I only recently learned or really understood what it meant to be a thought leader. I'm not embarrassed to say that. I'm 38. I thought I knew what it was. And then recently I was introduced to what it is. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about it like that. So I definitely would love to be known as a thought leader. I don't want to be known as a guru. I don't. I believe people put people on pedestals when they get into this kind of guru, blindly following, I'll do anything, buy anything, say anything you tell me to. And I'm not interested in that. I have expertise in certain areas, but I am not the expert, right? I'm not the only one. I'm not the guru on the pedestal. I want to be approachable. I want to be reachable. I want to be relatable because I'm just a human, right? So I would love to be known as a thought leader. And so the concept here of being a thought leader is very simple. It's one that I teach you how to think, you will come back to learn. So how do I teach you how to think? Well, I teach you how to think by being me. I teach you how to think by standing in, standing in my power, speaking about what I do, what I believe in, what works for me, what I stand for, who I stand for, what I do not stand for, who I do not stand for. By me sharing my thoughts and always saying by disclaimer, this is what I believe, you can borrow it, take what you want, leave the rest, right? Like I always say those things. What I tell my clients a lot of times is, I can't tell you what to do, but if you said, Jess, what would you do if you were in this situation? I can give you my opinion. And so by me giving my opinion, by me giving my beliefs and thoughts around things that I've done, tried, heard, learned, all I'm now doing is teaching you how I think. Some of those billionaires, I don't remember who, Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi and Russell Brunson and Richard Branson and whoever, right? They've had this conversation, and I don't remember who it is, but it was kind of like, if you had the opportunity to sit down and have lunch with one of them, Elon Musk, whoever, Jeff Bezos, what would you say? What would you ask them? And there's this common kind of misconception or common belief that all of us often have, and we say, what do you do? How did you do? Like, what did you do? What did you do to make $1 billion? What did you do to build this company? What do you do every morning for your morning routine? What do you do for your team meetings? What do you do on the daily basis? And what this kind of initial quote came up from, and I don't remember whose it was initially, was like, no, you're getting it all wrong. Don't ask them what they do. It doesn't matter what they do. Ask them why they're doing it. Ask them why they made that decision. It's kind of like you can lead a horse to water, or you can teach it, it's the man and the fishing. You could give a man a fish, or you could teach him how to fish, right? So he can eat for a day, or he can eat for life. Asking someone what they do, why they, what they're doing is kind of like, here's the fish. They're giving you the fish. Saying, why did you come to that decision? How did you make that decision? Why did you decide that? Is now teaching them how to think. It's teaching them how to fish day after day after day so they can eat forever. They can replicate it. Totally different way of thinking. And so we get to this conversion event. We do this launch vehicle. We get to the end. We get to the pitch. And it's not effective. And you're not understanding why. So it could be a lot of different things. You may have taught too much. You may have not taught them how to think, but rather just shoved information down their throats, which we all do at a point. And it usually comes from a deep-seated subconscious ego thing where we want to feel important. We want people to say, OMG, mind blown. Like, it feels so good when you get a heart, when you get a like, when you get a thumbs up, when you get a you just changed my life. Subconsciously, we're like, yeah, but then you go to make the sale and you're like, it's not happening. I don't understand why it's not happening. There's a whole other element, which I simply cannot teach today. It's just way too much time. It's way too deep. But there's another element that happens through this event, through this conversion event or this launch vehicle, where the transition to the pitch or the transition to the sale is more important than the sale itself. And a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves for the pitch or for the sale, or they put a lot of energy into it, but they're not actually focusing on the stuff that comes before. And the stuff that comes before is really the most important part. There's this theory or this concept, this idea that when you give someone the invitation, when you give them the pitch, when you give them the offer, they should already be bought in. They should already be sold. The door's open, here's your offer, is not where the selling happens. And this is huge. Write this down. Like, take this away from today. The invitation, the offer, the pitch, that's not where the selling happens. The selling is happening before the pitch. The selling is happening before the pitch. In the content warming them up, in the conversion event, in the launch vehicle, in the emails, in the conversations, in the DMs, the selling is happening before the pitch. And most people get this wrong. Okay, so number one, you might not be having or hosting some sort of a conversion event or a launch vehicle. Number two is that you might not actually properly be converting the person when it comes time for the pitch, and that's for a variety of reasons. Are you ready for number three? Give me a little love if you are, and I'm gonna get into number three. This is one of those that I swear I can hear it across the room. We've got eye rolling coming in. If you've heard this before, and you're still not getting the result that you want, take a look in the mirror. Okay, I say it with love. If you know this, if you've heard this, if you want to roll your eyes when I tell you what this next one is, and you're still not where you want to be in your business, and you're not making the sales you want to make, pause. There's power in the pause. Be open to receiving. I'm giving you a gift right now. And if you open the box and say, I already have this, well, it doesn't make me feel very good. And it's telling me and the universe that you're not open to receiving gifts. So just be open. Okay. Power in the pause, my favorite thing to say. Number three, plant more seeds. Plant more seeds. Now, this is a multitude of things that I'm talking about here. So when I say plant more seeds, I'm telling you to unapologetically plant more seeds. That means talk about your conversion event more. Talk about your offer more. Talk about your clients more. Talk about the results that you get, the transformation, your own story more. I'm not saying more is better or more is more, because it's not. Work smarter, not harder. Less is actually more. Plant more seeds. Put more time into your runway. Put more work and effort and intentionality into your content. Remember, we always reverse engineer. If you know that you're going to New York City and you're leaving from LA, you get to figure out the map, the course, the path that you're going to take. You could go a million different ways, maybe not a million, but you could definitely get there a lot of different ways. Stopping at different places along the way, stopping for a different amount of nights along the way, visiting people that you want to see across the country along the way. Reverse engineer. If you want to go there, and right now you're here, what's the map? What's the path that you're going to get there? Now zoom out, 30,000 foot view. You're looking down on your business. You know where your clients are. You know where you want them to go. Your prospects, right? Where are those leads? Where do you want them to go? It's your job to get them there. So intentionally creating content to get them to move closer to saying yes to your launch vehicle, to saying yes to your offer at the end. There's this, I don't know, there's like a metaphor or an analogy that people use. It's very like strong. So I don't say this with any disrespect. I'm just regurgitating this as I've heard it many times before, but it's kind of this idea of like, if you had the cure to cancer and then someone in your life you knew had cancer, or they called you up, a friend, and their aunt has cancer, their grandfather has cancer, would you just sit back and be like, that's really that's a shame. That's really sad. Or would you say, oh, that's crazy. I have the cure to cancer. It's right here. Right? So we're doing this a lot of times. And I know that that's very drastic and dramatic, but we're doing this on a smaller scale. Some of us is not even smaller because we're teaching things that have to do with health, right? We're doing this on a smaller scale though. We have the solution, we have the cure, and we're not telling people about it. We're not talking about it enough. We're not talking about it confidently. We're not talking about it passionately. And we're so fearful, we're so afraid of being rejected, of people saying no, of getting judged, of having a silent launch, of us looking a certain way because we're making it mean something about us, that instead of offering it at all, we don't say anything. Or we kind of just say something over here a little bit, but it's not really that loud because you don't really want people to hear you or see you. And so the mindset reframe here is kind of, if you had the cure to cancer, wouldn't you be screaming it from the rooftops? I know I would. And so how can you get behind your own vision? How can you get behind your own mission? How can you get behind your own purpose so that you can show up with that type of lit up energy? Because y'all, if you're not confident in selling it, they're not going to be confident in buying it. If you had a flat tire and you went to the car mechanic and you were like, hey, I have a flat tire, do you think you can help me? And they're like, well, I mean, I guess probably, like I've done it once or twice before. You'd be like, okay, bye. Like I'm going to go somewhere else and get a tire fixed somewhere else because there's a lot of people that can do this for me. There's a lot of automotive places that I can go to and get my car fixed. Heck, I could probably call AAA and have it fixed faster than what it appears that you can do it, because you don't seem to be able to know if you can really do it. So I'm going to go somewhere else. I don't really trust you. I don't really feel that you're confident in your ability to help me with the thing that I need. And that's how people are showing up in their own business. So when I say plant more seeds, I mean above the surface and below the surface. And if you've been in my world, you know I've taught the iceberg effect many times. So the things that we see above the water in the iceberg effect are the coaches who are doing things effortlessly and it's seamless and it's so easy. Above the surface, we see content and likes and social media numbers and followers. Above the surface, we see master classes and webinars and free Facebook groups. But what actually is going on below the surface? Sales systems and strategies and SOPs and launch vehicles and mindset shifts and beliefs and lead generation and relationships in the DMs and consistency and building team. Like all these things are going on underneath the surface. So when I say plant more seeds, I mean above the surface, what people see. So more intentional content, longer runway for yourself, more intentional launch vehicles or conversion events. But below the surface, plant more seeds. Do the work on yourself. Do the work that you get to say, I am so effing unapologetic about the thing that I do. I know that I can help you. And I don't feel bad saying that. I don't feel bad selling or giving an offer at the end of one of my masterclasses because I just gave you so much damn information and value that I feel good about my stance, right? I've gotten so many client results. I've gotten so many results for myself for a decade repeatedly that I am unapologetic. I don't feel bad about my pricing. If anything, I think that our pricing in our business is a freaking steal for what we give you and for what you can continue to do with the information that you get and the foundations that you get when you come to Digital Business Evolution. I was listening to a podcast this morning and this man was talking about how he went into someone's business to help them. They were looking to grow, they were looking to scale, and they were feeling a little stuck and plateaued. So he went into their business to help them. And so he spoke to the sales representative and he said, hey, can you tell me a little bit about your lead generation? And the guy kind of fumbled and did this one like, well, yeah, I mean, so like with the leads right now, and the man interrupted him and said, thank you so much, I'm good. I've heard enough. And his whole stance here, his whole point here was that this guy who's in charge of selling a product, an offer, a course, a water bottle, whatever it is, this man who's in charge of selling for this company responded like that. Problem wasn't that the guy didn't know the numbers or something. It was that the guy wasn't fully bought in. He wasn't lit up. He wasn't excited. And so what the host, the podcast, the guy that was interviewing him said was I wanted that person to answer yeah, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So we've got leads over here and then this thing's going on over here. And in fact, I'm so lit up about the thing that I actually decided to take a course to learn more about the thing. And I called my aunt and she's been implementing it too, even though she didn't buy it yet. He's like, that's the type of excitement and unapologetic selling that I want happening. And so something that we do with our team, which if you don't have a team, you could and should still be doing this, is when we have our meetings on Mondays, I will come back to the team and I will let them know what is going on in the business in terms of our client results. Things that clients are doing, great things they're saying, sales they're making, transformations and breakthroughs they're having. And by me bringing this back to the team, it's getting the team fully invested in the vision, fully invested of the why power. You all have why power, why you do something, right? And so they get fully on board with this vision. They get excited about the mission, and they can clearly talk about what's actually going on in the business, what actually happens when you're in the container with us. And so they're no longer out there, and we don't have a sales team, but even if we did, or if we don't, or if you do or don't, now no one on the team is out there kind of throwing spaghetti at a wall, guessing, saying like, yeah, what we do is great, but I think, but I'm not sure, but whatever. It's giving you that like emotional ammo, that energetic ammo to say what we do is awesome, what we have is incredible. It's literally changing lives. Not just every quarter when I share, but every Monday. And so if you don't have a team, bringing that energy back in for yourself, writing that down, reflecting every single week, going, what did the clients do this week? What was the transformation? What were the aha moments? What good things are happening? What breakthroughs are happening? What breakdowns are happening? But if you can reflect on that with your clients and what you're doing, especially because most of you in here are coaches, then you get to bring that energy back in. And when you go to pitch, when you go to launch, when you go to talk about it at your conversion event, at the end of it, in your content that you're putting out, there's this underlying like, it's not get out of my way, F you, but it's like, I know what I have is good. I know what I have is good. And so planting more seeds above the surface is, reaching out to people. I have this note here, active versus passive. Now, we all know this when it comes to revenue. Everybody wants passive revenue, which I have a whole belief and stance on that. Active versus passive. Are you being an active or a passive business owner? Are you being an active or a passive coach? Plant more seeds. I'm not saying go cold DM people and be a weirdo, but planting more seeds is having more conversations. It's literally reaching out to people. It's following up. It's getting back in the DMs when someone has reached out to you. Plant more seeds, being passive, is getting yourself on a podcast tour. It's gaining exposure, not because you're waiting for a reel to go viral. We don't encourage that at all. And I'm going to talk about that next week because I have a really strong opinion on that. It's not about going viral, right? It's active. What are you doing underneath the surface that's active for planting seeds? So to recap and review why you might not be making sales and 3 different reasons or 3 different tactical strategies that you can implement literally today. Number 1 is, are you not utilizing something like a conversion event or a launch vehicle? Getting on your camera and just telling people that your doors are open for something is just not enough anymore. It's 2022. It's just not enough. The industry, digital marketing, the social media apps, the coaching industry has all never been more saturated. Relax. Saturation is not a bad thing. Saturation is a great thing. It causes innovation, but it's your job to out-sophisticate the market. The cream will rise. So if you can out-sophisticate the saturation by understanding these things, you're golden. There's staying power there. So the conversion event or the launch vehicle is a must. Number 2, and that happens from a 30,000 foot view, knowing how to properly transition to the conversion is huge. So we want to know how we're going to speak to our clients, how we're going to make that transition, not just doing something and at the end selling it, really understanding the whole customer journey here. And then number 3, plant more seeds, both above and below the surface, before and after the sale, in and out of your business, or I should say in and on your business. In and on are 2 different things, okay? Before I sign off, is this making sense? Do you want to learn more? Are you loving this? Are you overwhelmed? I think the part about teaching too much is also one that like gets people here. It just gets people, right? And the part about like, I know this, I've heard this, roll your eyes, plant more seeds. Ugh. With the plant more seeds, it's also time and patience, which most of us don't want to do. We're living in a world of instant gratification, and it's doing us a disservice. We share it all the time. It's like Amazon took 10 years to be profitable. Every brick and mortar, it takes years for people to be able to build a brick and mortar and redo the floors and get the plumbing and then, get the sign outside the door and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. What the hell are we doing thinking that we're going to have a business up running and scaled in 12 weeks, in 6 months, in 2 months, in 24 hours? Like, patience. Bamboo grows for like 3 years underground before it breaks through the surface of the earth. And then it like shoots up to the sky in a matter of moments. Pineapples take 18 months to harvest underground before they pop and they're ready to go. This is nature. It's the same thing. It takes a while. There's so many elements to the business machine, which we always talk about here at DBE. We're like team business machine. There's a lot of pieces to the engine. There's a lot of parts to the puzzle. Yeah. Okay. Here's the deal. This is free. I hope you got something out of it. And if you're watching the replay, I appreciate you for still being here or coming back to be here. And if you're on the live, I just love you for being here in the energy. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. I'm loving this Facebook group. It's so fun. And I'm loving doing all these free trainings because it's just my favorite thing to do. So if I could just teach people all day, that would be like my happy place, which is basically what I get to do. So thank you for being a part of it. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.